Let's bring Steve Stivers in on all of this. He's the CEO of the Ohio Chamber of Commerce, former Republican member of Congress. Welcome, sir. What are you hearing from people in Ohio about all this?
Well, it's great to be with you. And, I will tell you, we have a lot of members who oppose tariffs ideologically. We have some members who support tariffs because of their industry, especially in the steel industry. But the biggest thing I hear from our members, big or small right now, is that what they need is certainty. If there's going to be tariffs, they want to know about it. They can plan for it. They can account for it. Tariffs, will impact some people. They could impact some prices. But if it ends up bringing more jobs and investment to America, that could offset things. There'll be currency valuation changes that could offset things too. But what our business owners tell us is they want certainty. They want to know there are tariffs, there aren't tariffs, how much they are, so they can plan.
Yeah, that 100% makes sense. Some people say, well, I don't get what's going on in the stock market, or to your point, I don't know what's going on in currency markets. But most people who work in a company understand exactly how planning is done. You're looking at a budget for the year and, am I going to hire, am I going to add, or am I going to subtract? And you want to know what's coming up. Now, I know when you're in Congress, you worked, I believe, on USMCA and ratifying that. So I did want to talk to you about Canada. And before I do it, I want to play a clip from the president, because his basic argument is, hey, with Canada, we don't need any of their stuff, right? Here's what he said earlier today.
We don't need their cars. We don't need their energy. We don't need their lumber. We don't need anything that they give. We do it because we want to be helpful, but it comes a point when you just can't do that. You have to run your own country. And to be honest with you, Canada only works as a state. It doesn't. We don't need anything they have.
So he's getting back to the 51st state argument, but I want to focus on the business part of it, because I've read alternate views where it makes sense. It's more efficient, say, on the energy side, electricity, to go to Canada. What would you say about this idea that we don't need them for anything?
Well, I would say that long term it is possible that we could replace many of the things. I think there are examples of things that would be hard to replace, like peat and other things that we don't have in America. But even with regard to lumber, we don't open up American forests to enough lumber operations. With regard to energy, there are pipelines between Canada and places like Ohio that have refineries that refine mostly Canadian crude, and we don't have pipelines all the way from, say, Texas, Oklahoma, or other places, North Carolina, to get American crude to those easily to those refineries. So, and there's interdependency in our auto markets right now because of things like USMCA. Should we raise the American content requirement in USMCA? That's a legitimate conversation and a real policy argument that I think we could have. But some of these things are going to take time and that's really the concern that we hear from some of our members. Not that we can't open American forests to timbering operations, not that we can't expand American pipelines, but it takes time to make all those things happen. And in the meantime, there will be price spikes as a result of tariffs until you can replace them with an American supply chain. So,
and then the political question becomes whether the people will be patient enough with the president for that. What do you think about that? Because let's say theoretically he's right on the economics. I know a lot of people in the business community, as you said, they want to push back. We don't like tariffs. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, he's right, and that it all works out in the end, and the manufacturing comes back, and the incentives are there, and it still doesn't get rid of that time argument that you brought up, right? So now are people politically patient, right?
Yeah, that's the other issue, is how do we make this happen in a thoughtful way where the American consumer is not punished? And we can get there. I think, there'll need to be some potential time to make the adjustments to open American forests, expand American pipelines.
But how would we get there? Companies here would have to eat a lot of it, right? They would have to eat it. They'd have lower profit margins. Stock prices go down. So that's painful too.
Well, if we slow down the tariffs a little bit enough to give time to expand the American supply chain, you might not see those impacts.
Okay.
But that remains to be seen about when things will be implemented on tariffs versus how long it takes to open the supply chain.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more
of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.